If your sales pitch involves leading with solutions and benefits, listen up, because I'm here to tell you that if you want to connect emotionally with your customers and get them to lean in and say, tell me more, especially during periods of uncertainty and economic adversity, you need to stop pitching those solutions and benefits and start leading more with problems. And I'm not just talking about the problems your customers are looking to solve. I'm talking about the problems they're experiencing trying to solve their problems. Welcome back to another episode of Sales Lab Live. I'm David Priemer, and I had to work myself up emotionally for this session, and I had to almost promise myself that I wasn't going to go on a rant, because this topic is something I've been talking about for a long time, and for whatever reason, there must be something in the water over the last 6 months or so. It has definitely come to the forefront with a lot of the clients that I'm working with. And let me just kind of position this up for you as I go into some, just a few unnecessary slides, so to speak. And I'll tell you, here's what I'm hearing. And I work with a lot, almost exclusively with high growth B2B technology companies, and their reps and leaders are coming to me, and I'm hearing these kinds of things, right? We have this sales playbook that involves getting them to the demo. Somehow, if we magically show them the demo and they understand what we do, they're going to fall in love with us, right? Or we position the solution and the benefits. We say, look, if you roll out our thing, it's going to save you all this money. It's going to make you all this money. If we just show you the business case and how compelling it is, you're going to, your mind's going to be blown. You're going to lean in and say, we got to do this. Tell me more. Or, sometimes, and again, I'm not completely faulting organizations. We push them to an event or a POC, right? Or kind of on a demo. Maybe it's we'll do a free assessment. And those, by the way, I'm not here to tell you that those things are bad. But oftentimes, here's what I see. A lot of organizations have architected their sales process to kind of position those things up front. And what happens is when we position things again, the demo, let's build the business case, let's offer to do a POC, or one of these events up front that is strictly focused on solutions and benefits, number one, it often stifles the curiosity of the sellers, right? We're just told to push towards these things. Meanwhile, we don't really know a lot about the customer's problems. We're making assumptions. We're not demonstrating a degree of curiosity around their business. And, if you think about your sales deck, your intro deck, and we'll talk a little bit about this later on, oftentimes I'm seeing positioning around what we do, our products, our services, our customers, our logo way too soon in those presentations. So we'll get to the presentation piece at the end of this. But what I want to do is really help you refine your message and your pitch for the times that we live in today where there's uncertainty and all sorts of issues in the market. I want to help you refine your pitch and get your customers to lean in and say, tell me more, by focusing on this concept of problems. And, I've seen in my contention, I believe wholeheartedly that if you focus the majority of your pitch 75% of the way through just on the problems your customers are experiencing and their business, not even mentioning you're going to be way more successful. And I've seen this. Now, we're not here to talk about how to architect your entire sales pitch and your intro deck. I'll leave some resources. I'm going to mention those a little bit later on. But this is more of an existential conversation about what I'm seeing, what I'm hearing, and how you can just have these very human conversations with your clients around this idea of problems. And just to kind of bring this down to very ground level for you, I want to just kind of frame up a few of these questions. And this question around what is the problem that you're solving? I want you to really think about, for your business, for your product, your service, what problem are you solving for your customers? Because I reckon, I'm not using the word reckon enough lately. I got to use the word reckon more. I reckon that you are focusing on the wrong types of problems. And here's what I mean, okay? If you think about your customers, I kind of think about this as a three-part problem. Your customers know what they want. You know what you want. When you think about, let's say you in your personal life and you're thinking, hey, look, what do I want? I'm in sales. I want to crush my quota. I want to make it to President's Club. I want to get a promotion. I want to be in a great relationship. I want to get in the best shape of my life. I want to go to sleep early, spend time with my kids, my family. You know what you want. Your customers don't need you to come in and say, you want to grow your business. You want to secure more revenue, right? You want to have an engaged workforce. You want to cut costs, okay? They know this, right? This is what they're focused on all the time. I'm not saying you shouldn't discuss this, but this is not what we should be leading with. And I'll tell you why. When you think about all of the value propositions that companies have, I had to dig this sales slide out because I talked about this a lot back in the day, and I talk about this in my book as well. If you think about your value proposition, there's kind of like 4 main categories that your value proposition falls into. Either you're trying to reduce something, you're trying to improve something, you're trying to expand something, or you're trying to grow something. I'm not going to read all these words off to you, but I almost guarantee that whatever you're selling, if you look at this slide, right, and I ask you, like, is your value proposition somewhere here? The answer is probably yes, right? And your customers, this is what they want. And there's nothing wrong with saying, hey, look, we can help get you what you want, but they know what they want, okay? Part 2 is, well, how are they going to get what they want? In general, again, I reckon your customers know how to get what they want. So, for example, you want to grow your revenue. I need to sell more stuff. My team needs to be more productive. They need to be better at like pitching and selling and closing and negotiating and doing all these things, right? In your personal life, you say, well, like I want to get in the best shape of my life. And you say, well, okay, how do you do that? Like, you know how to do that. See, now I'm getting on my rant. I told you. You know how to do that. You know how to go to the gym and get, eat right and get enough sleep and drink enough water. But that's not the problem, right? Knowing how to do something isn't the problem. Like, for example, you could watch the Olympics and see all these athletes doing all these things. And you look at the Olympics and you look at what they're doing and you say to yourself, I could do that. It's just running, it's just swimming. Like, I could do that. Meanwhile, you couldn't, but there are some barriers to you performing at that level. And so again, back to this idea of like your customers, generally speaking, know how to get what they want. They need training. There's an app. There's a program. There's a diet. There's a regiment. There's consultants. Okay, they know how to get what they want. Now you might say, well, we're a unique snowflake. We're very nuanced, and okay, and maybe you're right. Okay, but let's just assume for a second that your customers know what they want. But here's the problem. They don't know how to get what they want, right? They don't know why, that should actually say, they don't know why they can't get what they want, right? And what do I mean by that? So like, if you want to get in the best shape of your life, you know what to do. So why can't you do it, right? There's things standing in your way. Things that you might say, well, I don't have enough time. Well, like, okay, well, why don't you have enough time, right? There are things on a deeper level that are blocking you from getting something. So again, like even from the perspective of like a sales rep, right? They say, look, I want to crush my quota. I want to sell this stuff. You're a sales leader and you're saying, look, I want my team to be productive and win all this business and we want to crush our quota for the year. Great. You know how to do that. Just like sell stuff. Make a bunch of dials, have a bunch of meetings, do the demo, the presentation, move the customer along. Why aren't you doing that? Right? Now, this is the nuance, which is like, well, why aren't you like, what's the problem that you're experiencing trying to solve that problem? And again, I work with a lot of clients in this area where if they only spent a little more time talking about, again, like, you know what you want, you know how to get it, here's why you can't, right? That is the real gold, because ideally, the problem that they're experiencing, solving their problem, is something that you can help them with. You're the doctor, okay? You're the expert. So if I came into the doctor and I said, hey, like I got this pain in my shoulder and I can't seem to shake this cold I got, like, I don't know why. I'm looking to the expert, to the doctor, to tell me why I'm experiencing the problem I am and then help me clear that roadblock. It's as easy as that. And this actually goes back to some of the content we've spoken a lot about on this channel. And again, I don't have time to get all into it, but I have lots of content. I'm happy to direct you to it. We talk about this concept in the discovery portion of the training that I do, and we've talked about this on this channel. 3 types of discovery insights. This known spoken, the known unspoken, and the unknown unspoken. And the idea is that if we want to build value in ourselves as sellers and connect emotionally with customers and show them that we are the ones in a position to help them, we have to go beyond the stuff they know and the stuff they're saying and get into the stuff that either they don't know or they don't want to talk about. That's what substantiates our value as sellers. Now, again, I have tons of content on this. We've done this before. This is a YouTube link. If you go to my YouTube channel and just look for this thumbnail, you will see these kind of, mastering these types of discovery insights. But again, even just, and it's kind of funny that we're talking about this, but to give you an example of like what I experience. When I work with a client and they say, David, we want these things. We want to grow our revenue. We want to crush the quota. We have all these goals we want to hit. And I say, great. So like, tell me, what's going on in your business. And I say, well, what's the problem? Like, why can't you do this? They sometimes have an idea. They're like, look, I don't think that we're generating enough activity. We have a deck, but it's just not landing with people. And sometimes, let's say, for example, there's a huge gap in the sales cycle. So we have like a good intro demo or a good discovery call, and then the customer ghosts on us. And we don't know why, right? Now, it's my job to come in and say, look, I work with tons of clients that are exactly the same position. And here's what I see. For example, a lot of times, hold on a second, wait for it. I work with clients who tell me this. They say, hey, look, we're pushing for demos too soon. We're pushing to build business cases and do POCs because we believe that if the customer just saw the product and saw what it did and understood the business case, they would lean in, right? But if that was so easy, everyone would be selling stuff. And that's not obviously the case. And so there's something more. And what I see are organizations, sellers, sales leaders not spending enough time focusing on the problems that their customers are solving and the problems associated with the problems you're trying to solve. Like, why can't they solve them? And after I have that conversation with sellers and leaders, they say, yeah, you know what? When I look at our sales process and I'm wondering, like, why aren't our reps being more creative and being more curious about asking questions? It's because in many ways, we almost have a sales playbook and a process that stifles some of that creativity. So we need to kind of help them break out of this cycle by architecting a process, a solution, a deck, whatever it is, around this concept of problems. Now, again, I say this is ironic because I'm explaining to you the problems that sometimes I solve and help solve for my clients. And these are problems that they cannot often see on their own until they bring someone in from the outside who has different perspective. And that's you for your business and the problems that your customers are looking to solve. So imagine what your pitch would be like if all you did for like the first 10 slides is you take them through like the standard narrative of like, here's what people want, here's the problem that exists in the universe, even if we exist or not, as a vendor. Here are the challenges that organizations have trying to solve those problems, right? And go into detail about why they're experiencing those challenges. And as you're doing that, it's actually funny, as I'm describing this is something that is so self-referential in so much of my content and practice. I've been talking about this for years. Triple down on talking about the problems that they have. And what's going to happen is they're going to start, as you start talking about these problems, they're going to start seeing you as someone who is valuable, someone who is worthy to kind of lean into, someone who they need to call back because what they want and how to get it sits on the other side of your product or service, right? Super important. And we talked about this in the past about architecting your pitch. I don't have time to go into all of this right now, but I will refer you out to another Sales Lab Live session that we did. You can find it on this landing page, cerebralselling.com/intro-presentations, where I kind of outline that best practice template, and I actually give you a bunch of downloadable templates for architecting that narrative. And the idea is, if you can architect your narrative in a way that's very easy for your customers to follow, that helps kind of draw out the pain and helps see you as someone who can help them because your solution sits on the other side of that pain, just talking about the problems. Again, we're not even talking about your solution here. We're talking about your ability to clear roadblocks for them. It's going to be super powerful. So that is, in a nutshell, my tip for today. This is more, again, it's a little bit ranty, and it speaks back to a lot of the other components, a lot of the other trainings that I've done in the past around like how to architect things. But if you take nothing away from this, I want you to spend the majority of your time in your intro conversations with your customers just talking about the problems they're looking to solve and the reason why they can't solve those problems on their own, why they need you, why it's been so hard. Because imagine, again, to use that example, if you wanted to get the best shape of your life and you go to the gym and you're like, I don't know if I should join the gym or not. And the trainer who you're talking to says, let me guess. I work with tons of people trying to get in the best shape of their life. And here are the 3 major roadblocks they run into, right? They don't have their nutrition locked down. So while they're going really hard in the gym, they're not really quite sure what they should be doing at home, right? Number 2, their workout schedule is all wrong. So they're actually working out at the wrong times of the day. By the way, I'm not a fitness person, so I'm just making this up on the fly. But imagine this, you're talking to the trainer. As the trainer's saying these things, you're like, oh my gosh, yes, what you're saying, 100%, that's the problem I'm having. So I think we're done for today. Rant over. Go back to your sales process, go back to your first call to action and make sure they 150% focus on those problems. You're going to see a transformation, not only in the reaction you get from your customers, but the conviction that you as a seller, and if you're a leader, your team will be able to execute with. So that's all I got for you today on this episode of Sales Lab Live. I hope you enjoyed it and looking forward to seeing you on the next one.